Last week I had the chance to head down to the Square Enix office to have an early hands-on look at the upcoming action RPG, Visions of Mana. This game is expected to release this summer on PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox Series S and X, and on Steam. It's a game that I've had my eye on ever since it was announced, but there hasn't been much info released about it since then. So I'm glad that I was given the opportunity to try it for myself and see what it's like firsthand. So if you want to see more previews and early looks at upcoming RPGs, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I have a lot that I need to show you. The Mana series first started off as a spin-off to the Final Fantasy series, but due to its positive reception back then, it was turned into its own standalone franchise. And recently, it seems like Square Enix has been making an effort to bring the Mana series back, since over the past few years, they've been releasing 3D remakes of this classic RPG series, with Trials of Mana being the most recent one they released back in 2020. But with Visions of Mana, they've taken things a bit further, since this is now the first mainline entry in the Mana series in the last 15 years. I only had roughly an hour to play in 2 of the game's areas, and to test out a few things like combat, class changing, and a few side quests. So I didn't get to experience everything that the game has to offer, since the version I was playing was an in-development build specifically made for this showcase. And all of the footage you're seeing isn't my own gameplay, since I wasn't allowed to record this session. So Square Enix sent me some gameplay of the same sections I played, so you can at least have a better idea of what I saw. Like I said before, the main focus of my hands-on session was to test out the combat and get a general feel for the game. Just like in the original entries, Visions of Mana is an action RPG with an emphasis on an elemental system that can be used while in combat or to complete puzzles or reach other locations in the overworld that Square Enix refers to as a semi-open field. Elemental vessels are the core of this elemental system, and it's through their use that I was able to activate elemental triggers, which were the exploration related actions that could be used to do things like create cyclones of wind that could carry you to other locations. But it did seem like these actions could only be triggered at specific locations, so it didn't seem like there was a way to use them to freely interact with the world. Elemental vessels are also what character classes revolve around. Each elemental vessel contains a different element, and I assume that you'll be able to unlock new vessels as you progress through the story. Along with being able to use the vessels while exploring, each character can also be equipped with one, and their class will change depending on the vessel that's being equipped. These class changes can unlock different stats, weapon types, and they can let your characters gain new attacks and abilities based on the elemental vessel being equipped. I tried out all of the classes that were available, and some of the characters did have different movesets depending on the class. But the character in the class that really stood out to me was Morley's Nightblade class. Compared to his usual katana and samurai inspired playstyle on his other class, the Nightblade was more of an assassin style class that dealt damage with dual blades, and he rapidly teleported around the battlefield, dealing damage to all of the enemies around. The combat system was pretty straightforward, and it will be fairly easy to grasp for anyone that's played an action RPG before. So expect to use things like normal attacks, special attacks, skills, and ultimate abilities during combat. But even though it was actually enjoyable to play, it didn't seem like the combat had much complexity or many interactions between the various party members on your team. It is possible to switch between the different characters, and you can perform basic combos between them, but based on the small section that I played, it didn't really seem like there were any team or party focused gameplay systems. The explorable areas that I had access to were fairly spacious, and they were dotted with items to collect, a few treasure chests to find, and there were also packs of roaming enemies to defeat. And if I wanted to travel a bit faster, I did have a mount that I could summon. It's best to think of the explorable areas being similar to games like Tales of Arise, where the zones can be spacious, but probably not as big as the backgrounds would make you assume. Overall, I'd say this game is worth keeping an eye on, since I'm sure they'll keep releasing info about Visions of Mana as we get closer to its summer release. I will be making some more videos about the game if I find anything worth sharing, so if you want to be the first to know when I upload a new video, don't forget to subscribe. But for now, I'll leave you with some gameplay of one of the boss battles that were in the section I played. The party is fighting against an enemy much bigger than them, so you'll get to see what the gameplay is like when fighting against a large enemy with more health and attacks to avoid. So let's take a look at what they can do.
Don't get hit by the sharp bits!
What do you think I am, stupid? I'm trying to avoid them.
You're mine! Let's use the elemental vessel.
Time to get to work.
Take this! Looks like the vessel had an effect.
He's having to fall back. I'm on it. Go,
Get ready!
Want some more? Take that!
Explode! It's down! Start it! Feel my power! This one's just for you! Or finish!
Move, Slice!
I'm on it. Go, Grandpa! He's having to fall back. Stupid!
I got this!
Let up just yet. This isn't over.
Go, Grandpa!
Time to get to work.
If you stayed around to the end, that's all I have to show you for Visions of Mana. But let me know what you thought of the game in the comments below, and let me know if there's anything else you would want me to check or find out once I have the chance to play the game again. I will be making some more videos very soon, but here's another that you might find interesting.